never knowing that we were built for so much more.
What's up, guys? I'm Jack Daniels. I'm a producer engineer out of Southeast Missouri. I work primarily with rock and metal bands, and this is my studio. We're here today with the Musixon Instagram page, and we're kind of just going through some production tips and just some information on my workflow. First question, who do you look up to as a mixer? In metal, there's kind of two schools of thought. There's the produced oversampled side, and then there's the raw natural side. And I tend to like guys, that are kind of in the middle of that maybe do more of a blend. One of my favorites would be Jens Bogren. He kind of maybe leans a little bit more towards the produced side, but he still has like the natural drums and the stuff in there that really makes it sound real, but they're super clean and punchy mixes. And then another guy would be David Bendith, and he kind of leans a little bit more towards the raw side, where he doesn't chop his guitars up really tight. He kind of leaves some of the nuances in there that make them human, and his mixes are just really aggressive and in your face. So those are kind of two of my favorite guys. Next question, what should a beginner mixer work on? As a beginner mixer, I think it's very important to just develop your ear and do ear training and really know why you're doing things. There's tons of great presets and stuff like that, and those are good starting points, but you really need to know why those EQ moves are happening or why this is happening. It's great to know your favorite mix engineer uses this or that plugin, but if you don't know why he's using it or why he's using that setting, then it's not going to help you in your own mixes. So I would just focus on really just using your ears and just fine-tuning that. Don't just use presets. Try to develop your own sound, and that's how you're really going to move forward as a mix engineer. Next question, do you use bus compression on your vocals? I like to track with the 1176 on, so I kind of like to compress on the way in, and with metal it's a wide vocal range. There's a lot of dynamics, and so I really just like to commit and tame those peaks and really make the vocals sound like a finished vocal while we're tracking. And that's going to be better on your vocalist too. He's going to really be able to get into it because it's going to sound like he's tracking to a mixed record. But after that, I definitely do bust those out, and I will use some subtle bus compression. I kind of split my vocals up between main lines, doubles, and then highs and lows. And so each one of those are all being set to their own bus, and there will be some subtle bus compression on there, and that's more of maybe just to bring the vocals more up front in the mix, and whereas this is more of just a more aggressive style of compression where I'm really slamming into it. But yeah, bus compression is a great tool to use. I like to use, I think it's the FG Red. It's a slate bus compressor. Just because it has a mix knob, so I can kind of do maybe a little bit of parallel compression with that. But like I said, I'm just doing more subtle stuff to where I'm just bringing it forward in the mix. But it's definitely a great tool and something you should look into using. Do you believe that acoustic treatment can make a huge difference? Absolutely. I think acoustic treatment's probably one of the most important things. That and your monitors, because that's really going to determine how you're mixing and what you hear. And it's often overlooked, and it's not necessarily, this big thing where you have to spend a ton of money to get your room treated. There's a lot of information out there for like DIY panels, like everything here, me and a buddy built ourselves. And, you can look that up, and it's definitely worth doing. There's some of the thinner acoustic stuff, or like the foam stuff, which that more or less just kind of deadens, the high end. And it just makes your room dead. And it does work, but it's not necessarily preferred, especially when for just maybe a little bit more money you can just buy some Owens Corning or some kind of rock wool and just build your own panels. And then you could kind of treat your side reflections, your rear wall, a cloud, above, and then always, trap your corners. And that's all stuff, all information that you can find online. And if you haven't treated your room, I would highly recommend doing that. It made the biggest difference in here. Treat it and then learn it and know your, I would just like to thank Musixon for having me on here. It's been a good time, and it's great to see an Instagram page out there that really is showcasing other studios, and they post tons of great pictures, and they always tag whose studio it belongs to and even feature them on the page like this, which is really cool. And it's a great community of engineers just coming together to kind of help other people figure stuff out. So I really like to thank them, and also make sure you check me out on Instagram at Jack D Recordings, and then also my website, jackdrecordings.com. Thank you guys for listening. It's been a blast, and I hope it helped.